Swerve versus Moxley set for Dynasty. Very short turnaround, even shorter, less time to get to for WrestleMania. Swerve's been suffering injury that ruptured eardrum, hoping to get cleared soon. So that's a shoot. So
Travis Scott got a hold of him.
What's up?
Travis Scott got a hold of him.
He did not. But from there, like we had a Mox Cope match last week from Dynamite. It was a street fight, brawled all around the arena. They had the big spike board was the kind of takeaway spot from this thing. I thought it was okay match. Doesn't really save the program or anything for me.
It don't. I really enjoyed the match, but it didn't.
Yeah, it was just.
I mean that is one of the best spots you're gonna get all year, though.
Yeah,
like that shit stuck into his back. Like the main thing was, I think, because I've seen people's reactions to it, like they were just like, oh, bed of nails situation. But the thing with the bed of nails is your waist is distributed amongst your whole entire body on that bed of nails. This ain't no whole bed of nails. This is a 1 foot or 1.5 foot by half a foot thing. So it gets stuck into him. Like he takes the bump, and I'm like, oh, that's bad in itself. But once he lifts up, to his, and it's stuck to his back, you're just like, oh no. And every you see people's reaction videos to it, like they're like they wince on the bump, but then when they see it, they realize it's stuck to his back as he kind of like Undertaker raises up and sells it. Everyone's eyes just bug out because it's so nasty looking. And then Yuta, does his spot, and then he tries to pull it out, and it's like, oh my god! Everybody, my reaction to is like, don't pull it out. You're gonna rip all the skin off his back. Don't. It was just nasty. It was, yeah, man. That was one of the better spots in AEW history as far as like just nastiness and gathering emotion and just like the grossness of it. And that's saying something for Jon Moxley. Him and Omega did that barbed wire web of whatever the fuck that was in that one match or their second match. That was nasty. So yeah, man.
That was like a super House of Torture bloodline match. All the Death Riders were back.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Me, you was involved in the match. We ran out the crowd and tried to help. We ended up getting cut off.
I don't recall there being black people in Death Riders, but if you say so.
Look, we just lie and say we were in it. Like
as
many people was out there.
Because I think that if we ran it all of a sudden they'd stop fighting, be like, what are they doing? What's going on?
I am friendly.
Can you imagine? I'm not trying to be funny, right? Can you imagine, like,
what are these big ass niggas?
This is something that would happen to our truth, right? Like, this is our truthian type shit, where it's like they'll sit down, have nothing to do with him. He just show up out of nowhere, and they just stop looking around like, what is his black ass doing out here? Like, but anyway, yeah, man.
I snuck Wheeler Yuta on the side where the camera didn't catch it.
That's funny. Yeah, I mean, you had Nick Wayne out there, you had Death Riders out there. It was a lot. It was a lot. FTR as well.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. It was a lot. FTR was there. They got disappointed after the match. I thought they were going to turn on Cope. I think they should just kick them rather than leaving it like, well, what's going to happen now? They're doing an interview this week and all that. Just do the attack, man. Get to it. You left a nigga alone for a month. Like, I don't. But yeah, like it basically, ensures Mox keeps the belt. The Swerve feud is set to kick off at any point now. And man, I just don't know how Tony Khan is going to look at this, right? He's got a great opportunity right now.
Yep.
Look at WWE being on the fucking ropes. Like they can't, they're tripping over their own dicks right now. They can't do nothing right. Every time you look up, there's another multi-man match. There's been one more person added to the championship matches. There's been another promo where nothing happens. Like another show airing at a weird time of the day. Like this whole Europe tour thing has fucked them up or whatever over here because
it historically, right? didn't the European tour used to be after WrestleMania?
Correct.
I don't know what made that change. Obviously, new regime, new rules.
Yes.
It is playing it how it goes all the time now.
So
Flying by
like,
the seat of their pants.
For me, it would be really hard to resist the temptation of making the fans happy here, which I think they have a great chance.
Isn't that what a booker's supposed to do?
I think they have a great chance to do that. We know it was like, all right, you stuck with Mox and Cope all the way through this pay-per-view cycle. You went past it and did it on TV too, right? And now that that's the fuck out the way,
you got the best result. You got the best match you possibly could have out of them with the ending. Yeah.
How can you possibly sell your fans that you are about to beat one of the most over men in the promotion in Swerve? How can you sell that to your fans? That's what I want to know.
It's more than even that, Rich. How can you sell your fans that what they're going to get at the big flying show in July in Texas for y'all in? Like, you cannot under any circumstance have anybody under even the doubt that Jon Moxley may make it to the main event of that. You can't. You have to move on. You have to. Like, the idea that Swerve gets announced as the number one contender, and then was it Russell Ticks like is shown like it's jumped the ticket sales by 1,000. They've opened up new sections.
Yes,
that should tell you everything you need to know.
I really think it's a simple call here. Unless you're so locked in to whatever's been promised to Jon Moxley, where it will like irreparably damage whatever with him. But I'm sorry, it's either produce or get the fuck out the way at this point. It's been how many months, James? 6 months now with this belt? We've done this?
October, right?
Yes.
World Dream was October, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And essentially, like, the whole unit and everything started in September before that. Like, look, if Swerve goes out there and continues to be the person he is, as far as his connections to the crowd, work rate, the business, the drawing, it's going to be like someone's going to have to sit me down, right? Someone's going to have to pull me aside and be like, Rich, this is why it happened. I'm going to need a reason because
at this point, there's no explanation good enough.
Correct.
No explanation good enough. When you have what you have on deck for your summer and what's at stake potentially, there is no other scenario that mirrors this where like they don't pull the trigger and just change the belt. Other than like some dumb Vince stubbornness in the back half of his career.
Yeah.
In the sad part of his career. You know what I'm saying? Like there's no,
because like people want to know about restoring the feeling and basically like everything, like it's right there. It's literally right there.
I'm not even talking about restoring the feeling. It is literally like, hey, this is the flat out better option at this point in this stage of the game. And if Jon Moxley or whoever is around Jon Moxley, as far as the political part of that, can't like understand that, then like Jon Moxley is quite frankly not, and his people aren't as smart as I thought they were. Like this is the easy laydown. If you're Jon Moxley, like, okay, I'll put it this way. If this was a Rock in this situation, what do you think The Rock does? The Rock lays down and gets the fuck out the way. Because he knows he'll get it back at some point. In some way in a favor. Not necessarily the belt, but like he'll get the win back on the back end at some point down the line. Jon Moxley has that kind of cachet in the company to where like, yeah, if you fall on the sword here, it ain't really falling on the sword. It's like, hey man, take your L that you have quite frankly earned over the last half year and then move down the card.
Yeah.
Like, do you want to do pro wrestling the rest of your life? Like the way you want to do it, because you ain't gonna be able to do it the way you want to do it if you go back over there. I promise you won't.
Yeah, like, and it's horror stories coming out about WWE right now. I'm not at liberty to really discuss them, so leave me alone. Sorry, it's a little breadcrumb for you, but yeah, it's just the way the business is run is fucking weird. Like flat out. But I think that if you're Moxley, I think there's unless you're so in love with this is going to be great heat and all that, I'm like, all right, man. Like, because I really think there's a chance to literally grab the pro wrestling world by the throat and announce that like AEW's like back on fire again, like in a way where everything's fucking hitting like it was the first 3.5 years.
Including the main event.
Yes, in the first 3.5 years of this company, where it was just like, oh, you got people freaking out. You got people afraid of this promotion that doesn't have to play by yesterday's rules and anything like that. Or we stay with the status quo, which kind of Jon Moxley has become. Choice is yours.
I wouldn't even necessarily call it the status quo because look, man, quite frankly, if Jon Moxley was Jon Moxley from 2019 through 2022, we wouldn't be having these problems, right? Like, it ain't necessarily the status quo. Is that like he right now is not. This act stinks. It's the act that stinks. He's not a good heel. So yeah, like they need to move on just to get it off of him.
You look at that Owen that's around the corner.
Because like it's better to do it now than look. Because Rich, you're more the alarmist of a situation. I seriously think that like whatever momentum they have, not momentum, like as far as whatever at whatever rate they're selling tickets to All In or whatever else, I think it greatly reduces people's like last minute purchases or whatever else to want to go. I seriously do. So I don't think you want to play that game.
Like if you got Swerve holding his belt and then you're like, yo, we got Hangman on one side of the bracket and Ospreay on the other, and then one of them niggas gonna meet him there at the field. I think them tickets start rolling the fuck out like that Ludacris song.
Right.
If you have Jon Moxley, it's like, all right, Darby Allin, who we haven't seen in forever. Love Darby, great wrestler, all-time wrestler. They missed the time.
Yeah,
I don't give a fuck about Mount Everest. I don't think the wrestling fans do either. Like, so
not after what they just had to suffer the last 6 months. This has not been worth the journey. It has not been. It's time to move on. There's something else.
Yeah, like there's so many people firing on all cylinders right now, and if they get this one fucking thing fixed, I think we're talking about the hottest company in the world again by far.
Look, I don't care about that part. I don't care about the hottest or whatever. I care about this show, or these pay-per-views in this show since this year's turn, since the calendar turn, have been consistently good to great. The main event is the only thing in the way from this show. Like, even with the Death Rider thing stinking, last week's show was great because Death Rider was actually good this week. He actually had a good week. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, just imagine you move that shit down the card where it doesn't matter. You put one of your most trusted and hottest acts in the main event slot, and you pair him with people that he's already has major success with. You know, it's almost close to a lot that is going to be a great story to get to Texas. That's all I'm saying. It just makes too much sense to not do it. And it's one of those things where it's like you weigh the options, the pros and the cons, and like, not to be con. That's not a pun, but like the only thing that can make any sense for sticking with this is just laziness
and promises. But yeah, switch the belt. Here's your warning now. And we've
been saying this for weeks now at this point. So
yeah, so just figured I'd drive it home, and y'all should probably get the program started too. Like as soon as we could do that. So anyway, let's go.